Tesla is going to go into the next few years with basically zero competition, like truly zero competition, maybe outside of the Hyundai, Kia or something, from the legacy automakers at least, going down market. So something like the compact car is about as surefire success as you can think of, primarily because it's going to be using existing technology and the amount of cars they're going to be able to push through the same footprint is going to be insane. And this is not commentary around stock performance. I don't know what the hell the stock's going to do. I'm talking specifically about the company performance. On top of that, you have the Cybertruck launching, which is going on a market that the only players out there are the F-150 Lightning and the Rivian R1T. The F-150 Lightning most likely will have worse specs and it will be more expensive than a comparable Cybertruck. The Rivian R1T fits a different niche. It's not nearly as big. The bed is a foot shorter. The payload is going to be less. The towing is about the same. The Rivian R1T quad motor has 11,000 pounds, which is phenomenal, but the pricing is going to be $87,000 plus, perhaps even more. So depending where the Cybertruck comes in from a pricing perspective, it's going to give Rivian a lot of fits, but they have the R1S on the other side performing really well. So that's what I'm monitoring. The seas have parted for Tesla to just take everything. Nobody's talking about that. At least when I say no one, I mean in the mainstream media. People like you and everybody else that's close to the space has been talking about this.
If the people that make the rules cannot play the game that they've organized for 2035 zero emission cars only sales, why would they not just change the rules of the game?
So you're talking about the EV tax credit, right? Specifically in this case.
EV tax credit
or
and
whatever
also
else.
A lot of states banning new car sales that are gas in 2030, some 2035.
New Jersey just came out today as well. They said they're going to ban in 2035. Yeah, that's a great point. But I think politicians from today, when they write 2035, what they really mean is, I'm just posturing. I'm just virtue signaling to my voting base so that they're happy with me, because it's 12 years from now. Who cares? Are we really going to be worried about that? Because things can change. Wasn't there something recently where there was some bill that was passed? I think it was in Europe or somewhere else. Hey, we're going to stop selling gas cars by 2035. And then recently they're like, never mind. So that can change at any point. If you think about the EV tax credit in the United States, this is where a lot of that noise has been coming from, like Ford, GM, Stellantis, Volkswagen as well. They're European, but they're huge. If you think about those players, they can still take advantage of something like the EV tax credit because the conditions for being considered an electric vehicle are very low. So 7 kilowatt hour battery, and your materials need to be sourced from the countries that we think are proper, and the price for the car has to be under a certain level. A lot of these companies are going to be able to take advantage of these incentives that are out there to lower the cost of entry of their vehicle by $7,500 without even having to really build an E. They just got to build a hybrid that has a 7 kilowatt hour battery, and they'll get basically a huge stimulus of $7,500 without really having an electric vehicle. Stuff like that still works in their favor. What I expect to happen because of that is they won't really poo the bill, if I were to guess. They're just going to go hardcore into hybrids, leverage their existing manufacturing capability, which is the gas car, which is what actually makes them profit, and just stick a freaking 7 kilowatt hour battery somewhere in the car, add more wiring, add more complexity, and then be like, whoa, look at how amazing we are. Look at how much demand there is for our hybrids. Who wants electric vehicles? It's hybrids, y'all. Exactly. And then what's going to end up happening over time is Tesla's going to come out with their $25,000 pure electric vehicle that's going to be way less complex. It's going to be super easy to maintain, basically no maintenance, if I were to guess. It's going to be extremely cheap to run. And it's going to have more than enough range for most people's use cases. And you're going to have a $25,000 EV versus a $35,000 hybrid. And then you're going to be like, oh, when did gas cars become more expensive than electric vehicles?
I just want to say, I like the way that you think about this, which is a free market perspective as to consumers should not be pushed to do X, Y, or Z. At the end of the day, the free market should dictate where the market goes. Yes. In that respect, I guess that makes sense. Now, actually, it's funny. I had a note here to even talk about this. Is the compact even needed? I'm looking at the configurator. The Model 3 in some states after tax rebates and gas savings, if you want to call it, it's like down to like 28,000 or, even lower than that in some states. What are we doing when we say, okay, at this point, the 25 is needed? Are you looking at 25 and then rebates off? Are you looking at 25, the compact just being an entirely different use case of model? What can Tesla not do with the Model 3 that the compact is going to fit in the need of for now?
So the way I think about this is that the net monthly payment for the customer is really the thing that dictates how successful and affordable car really is going to be. So even in that example you use for the Tesla Model 3, in some states you can get it down for like 28 or even 25. I think the $7,500 tax credit plus I think 5,000 in Colorado, that's 12.5. So you get basically a $1,000 Model 3 rear-wheel drive down to basically 25. But you still have to pay a monthly payment, or you have to pay cash for the car that's going to be significantly above that. You got to wait for that cash to come in. The way most car buyers work, I've learned this through talking to a lot of just people that are in the car industry, like just regular dealerships, people from CarEdge as an example, is that when you go down to that level of buyer, they're just payment buyers. They're not doing the math that says, if I make this investment or if I pay this much upfront, it's going to save me this much over 5 years. They're saying, okay, I have $3,000 in my bank account. I got $100,000 in debt. I got 2 kids. I got to go to work tomorrow and I only have a budget for $300, $400 a month. What is the best thing I can get for $300, $400, $500 a month? And that's how people shop. So when you lower the price of a car to say starting at $25,000, and if you layer on top of that the EV tax credit, which you're going to be able to take at point of sale starting next year, then you have a monthly payment on a car that is electric, which has very little to almost no fuel costs at that point, and basically no maintenance. You look at your total monthly payment, you're like, holy crap, I can get in a Tesla that's going to drive way better than any Corolla or Kia Soul or anything in its class by far, because it's an electric drivetrain. It's going to have better driving dynamics, way better safety, way better technology, and I can pay the same monthly payment as a Corolla. Sign me the frick up. So that's the equation that I'm going to go after. And Elon Musk has been very open about this. He said, what really matters is the monthly payment here. We got to get the monthly payment down. And that's why, is most people, that's how they shop for a car. That's where the compact is very much needed. The form factor itself maybe is not that important. There might be a thing that says, well, if you make it too small, people are not going to want to use it. In reality, there's 200 million adults in the United States, like 180 million adults. I'm willing to bet most of them can't afford anything above $30,000 or $35,000 as a new car. They're looking for that monthly payment. So if you get them low enough, they'll be able to get into a car that's way better than whatever's out there and actually be happy and be able to live their lives.
Okay, Cybertruck. Here's where I'm worried about Cybertruck, all right? We don't have specs. We don't have pricing even yet.
We have some specs.
Fine. We don't have pricing yet. And it sounds like the rumor in town is, let me know what you've heard, is that they're going to just deliver 5 or 10 or 20 of these Cybertrucks. It's really going to be a nominal amount. Now, the issue is that smells like this Tesla Semi event where we really didn't get much info off of Tesla. It wasn't like a hard launch. It wasn't like the Model Y or the Model 3. It was like, okay, here's 5 or 10. Let's take our photo session. Let's kind of move on. Who knows when the actual scale of this will start to happen? Elon says 2024. Is this just a celebratory soft launch and we're still going to have to probably hold our breath for another 6 months for a consistent flow of these to come out?
No, I do think the ramp's going to be slow. Don't get me wrong. It is going to be slow. So if Tesla were to withhold specs, I think that's going to be it's not going to be a good experience for the shopper, because if you compare it to the Semi, Tesla's relationship is with a giant corporation where they can sign NDAs to the moon and be like, yo, do not at all say anything about the Semi until we get maybe to the next iteration, right? With the Cybertruck, it's just going to dudes. It's just like, I know one of the ones that's going to be taking one of the first deliveries.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's going to be one of the guys local, and he's one of the ones taking delivery. I'm going to try to steal his Cybertruck for a little bit when he gets his to do some content. But he's taking delivery, and he's just a dude. So I'm like, okay. So I don't think they're going to have him sign an NDA. And I don't think they're going to have the other 9 people sign an NDA. And then if they're really looking to ramp to, 250,000 by 2025, that's a lot of NDAs. There's going to be a lot of NDAs between now and the middle of next year, let's say, right? I fully expect the range, the specs, the pricing to be unveiled in about a week. And we'll learn more about that. And yeah, I could be wrong, but I just think with everything adding up, we'll find out max payload, max towing, the range, the pricing, we'll get all the feature sets. It's going to be weird. Elon hyped this up on the Joe Rogan Experience. Like, hey, we have all these videos of like the capability of the truck. You show all these things and you'd be like, okay, bye. And it's like, all right, so but how much then? How much can I pay to get this thing? Yeah, I fully expect those figures to be released in 2 weeks or in a week.
It's funny because I remember our stream in January that we did. I was like, bet your bottom dollar by July 4th we're gonna have our first delivery of the Cybertruck, and
Well, you got to bring that up.
Are you expecting consistent deliveries to the end of the year, every week or whatever?
Yeah, I'm expecting them because if you look at the overhead, like the drone footage, there's a consistent flow of Cybertruck coming out. And I know there's a fair bit of them already out, like 4 or 5, maybe more, that are out and about with Motor Trend and Top Gear. And then you have all these models at shops now. So it's not like they can't make them. They are making them, obviously. And they had a couple of them go through Baja and back, I'm guessing. They can make them. It's just going to be a slow go. It might be like, I don't know, for the next month, it might be like 5 or 10 a week or 5 or 10 a day or something. By next year, we'll start to see this sort of ramp. But Elon has constantly said it's going to be very slow. A lot of new technology is going to take a while. Yeah. So I would say it's going to be comparable to like the Model X launch, but with an end ramp figure of 250,000 versus 50, 60,000 that the Model X is at now. So you like 5x the volume, basically.